dream every single time for Rival in game 1 is to just be able to utilize that Odin movement speed to just constantly trap eUnited. Those gods such as Bastet and Ullr that have the escapes, they have nowhere else to go after the fact. And once those are brained out, Odin can easily trap them. It's just everyone fell so far behind, it never really came to play. There's no way you can actually pull that one off. I'm with Tolly on this entirely. I want to see a little bit more jungle presence from Ice Ice.
Then what do they have to do? What do they do for that presence?
Maybe an Osiris pick early on, whether you put it in the solo lane or the jungle, it does not matter. The utility is a nice idea, but whenever you're dealing with such an aggressive composition that eUnited had last game between the Ullr, Bastet, the Kakulin, those were the first 3 picks for eUnited last game. I don't think the Odin utility definitely worked out for them there.
Looks like we're seeing a very standard bans right here, similar to last game. Robin and Fafnir banned out for Rival and eUnited, respectively. I'm wondering if we're going to see Morgan and then Athena banned out.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Morgan get banned out again, but they're also probably just heavily debating this Kakulin pick. Rival are first choice though, so they could potentially take it for themselves, and it's just the fact they think that the Bastet is more of an issue than the Kakulin.
Well, but you were saying their early aggression is what allowed them to get that lead, and Bastet has such safe early aggression.
Very easy to get in and out of the action, has pretty decent long-range poke once you max out that third ability, especially just being able to drop your kitties and run away, but still Rival prioritizing this Raijin. But keep in mind, last game, that Bastet ban from Rival was actually Morgan, so I think eUnited are going to switch things up.
Yeah, are we going to see a Morgan and a Kakulin pick from eUnited from the get-go?
I don't think we're going to see Morgan right here, because they can still pick 2 picks here and then get Morgan before the secondary ban phase.
They already know that Raijin is going to be the mid lane god for Rival. They're not necessarily pressured into picking that Morgan in these first 2 response picks. So we could definitely see the Kakulin coming back again, but I would imagine that eUnited, since they love having those staple picks of the solo jungle pressure already prioritized early on, that's probably the same that they would relay to here, maybe even an Ullr selection again.
Now with Bastet gone, we've seen Scream go in the way of Fenrir. Is that something that we can expect?
It's tricky to go Fenrir against the Raijin. That didn't really work out for adapting in game number 5, unfortunately, so I don't think he's going to go for that route. His god pool can still be kind of stretched out a little bit further. He could opt for even the Kakulin himself in that jungle if he really wants to. But that man on your screen right there, Benji, certainly has been favored for this pick throughout the whole tournament.
Oh, Kakulin and the Morgan pick out here.
Even though it wasn't a necessity, eUnited just feel way more comfortable securing it away for themselves. And on top of this, this leaves Rival questioning which direction they should take their draft in, because now they'll have that constant fear in the back of their minds. What is Morgan going to have to transform to that we could potentially provide?
They haven't really revealed their hand too much here with this Morgan pick, but the Osiris, though, is exactly what Rival need. Now they're going to prioritize the pick. Last time they got the Odin Sylvanas. This time, aggression all across the board. They snatched the Ullr away from Panda-Cat, and Osiris is more than likely going to go to Deathwalker.
And there is the Fenrir.
It's tricky. It's very difficult to go onto a Raijin as a Fenrir. Your Brutalize will get instantly canceled during that third ability, not to mention once you bang on those drums for the taunt.
But I like the combination that this could provide for eUnited. Fenrir and Kakulin are both excellent gods for Morgan transformations. It just depends on what Venenu feels more comfortable providing to the team fight aspect. And Fenrir having 2 Ragnaroks, that's excellent setup for your team, not to mention the Brutalize and the potential for a double jump stun.
A lot of burst damage from Unchained. That first ability is going to be able to really pound away some of these squishy targets that are going to be left alone and isolated in the backline. So I really want to see Rival get a defensive support, something that can peel very easily, specifically the Geb.
Can we expect Panda-Cat here to go Hu Yi?
Panda-Cat Hu Yi would be a top selection, but considering that Rival banned away the AMC, I also wouldn't be surprised to see them maybe try and eliminate that Hu Yi as well. Not really wanting to leave that as an open option for eUnited. They already have a decent amount of setup and frontline if necessary for Panda-Cat's God, and it'd just be a strong addition.
I love the respect that we're seeing out of eUnited here. Even though they confidently won that game over Rival, they don't want to see their dodgy, they don't want to see Ares with Callus or even the Athena. I appreciate that they're not feeling too overly confident right now.
Ares is an interesting ban considering that the only time Rival really run the Ares is in conjunction with the Isis, so that's not a very common ban to do here against Rival, but still respecting the potential that they might even do it with a Raijin. The damage can certainly be there. And with this Arneo ban, this leaves eUnited's Panda Cat with either the Hou Yi or the Hachiman.
There's also been a lot of question marks surrounding eUnited as to whether or not Polar Bear Mike might decide to bring out the Terra selection. That was actually a god he used to non-stop rave about, always loved what she could provide for the team environment, having that global movement speed, and it's just so beneficial whenever you're trying to do those initial bursts of damage, and that's kind of eUnited's playstyle.
The crowd is definitely on board with this Hou Yi pick for Panda Cat.
Yes, indeed, eUnited. We're gonna go to the side of Rival right now with 2 picks, going for Serket.
Hovering over it, the question is, do they lock it in here? It is a pretty aggressive 2v2 between the jungle solo. You get an Osiris and Serket together around that level 1, level 2 marker. And even Benji on that Coca-Cola needs to watch out.
But then you have to constantly worry, is Venenu going to abuse the fact that we provided a Serket on the board?
Yes.
Utilize that in the Morgan transformations. That's an immediate crowd control burner. And either one of these gods, even with the Susanoo hover, still the same issues present. But Susanoo, such an excellent god for counteracting everything that Fenrir tries to accomplish.
Let's see how they finish out their team composition with a Geb there.
That has to be a Geb. It's just such an easy counter against the Fenrir Ragnarok. I'm surprised, honestly, that the Ares and Daji was banned and not the Geb. This ultimate is going to get negated by Scream every single time.
Ares could technically still provide the same sort of issues that a Geb does, but just in the opposite direction. Instead of those shields constantly cleansing your gods from the Ragnarok, then you have to worry about those immediate bursts of damage and the cripples. The cripples would affect genuinely every single member on this eUnited roster, but it is the Terra pickup.
Man, yeah, I'm kind of wondering why we're seeing Terra right here.
It's not the best early pressure goddess that you really want for your draft, but the global presence from the Terra's Blessing, the movement speed, the clear casting, the cooldown reduction. There's going to be a lot of abilities flying around from eUnited once Polar Bear Mike hits level 5.
I am excited, and I know the audience is as well. Everyone, it is game number 2 for Rival versus eUnited.
Game number 2 going to be starting at a significant point because I think both of these squads have answered what game number 1 brought.
Exactly. eUnited kind of preemptively adjusting to what they think Rival's going to go for, but I love Rival's draft here. I am totally in love with it. I love the Geb. I love the Susanoo for Ice Ice Baby.
I'm so excited.
This is what I'm talking about. I want to see Ice Ice play aggressively in the early game, not play Odin and farm for 18 minutes. I want to see Deathwalker start running at people with no fear. Give him the Osiris. Wolfie's still on the Raijin. Vote gets his chance to show off the Ullr. I love it.
That's what I was saying, dude. Last game, I was talking about the Amaterasu when you were like, nah. But now, I'm sitting here.
I was like, kinda.
Okay, but now you're like,
yes.
Yes, because the Osiris is going to do exactly what DW has been doing all season long.
And now keep in mind that they did give Panda Cat his best god, Scream, one of his signatures, and oh yeah, Benji got Cucullin for some reason, so there is some worry there. As
the Cucullin is questionable, I think.
Brings some of the minions with him, and Scream gonna jump in right on top of Ice Ice Baby, but has that Stormkata to get away.
The Cucullin is what has Team Rival fans, I think, questioning things. I don't mind the Venenu on the Morgan. I think that's sort of a necessary evil you have to deal with. Whereas with Benji, I don't know if you can deal with it.
Oh, Ice gonna be able to get away. Archers didn't quite follow him, but Rival's jungler very low on health already. Polar Bear Mike actually starts in the mid lane that time around. He tried to do the same thing that he pulled off against Obey, upgrading that horrific emblem and wrapping around the back, but it just didn't end up presenting itself as a potential kill opportunity. Not a ton of damage between the rest of eUnited in the mid lane there with the Hou Yi and the Morgan. So it means that Kalas gets a little bit of extra farm, but that's what's so good about this strategy. It doesn't give up a whole lot. Now it did mean that they triple split that mid wave, so that does set Panda Cat a bit behind. It does set Venenu a little bit behind. But with Wolfie joining up with Ice Ice Baby now, Venenu should be able to catch up in XP just because he's soloing the waves.
Sticking with that conversation about the supports right now, aggression in eUnited's jungle. Ice looking to steal, instead walks away. Wolfie's here as well, however. Benji has to pop the sprint to be safe, and he will be. Speed buff is taken by eUnited, so no harm, no foul.
But Deathwalker's level 3, Benji only level 2, so that's why Rival can afford to play aggressive. Now Deathwalker going to step up and mess around with eUnited as they try and secure their own blue buff.
And look at him just hit and scream in the mouth. Walk away. Nothing he can do about it. Ice also here to pull Benji into a bad spot. Level 3, so no ultimates just yet, but this damage that Deathwalker is dealing out will have those ripple effects.
Finally, someone takes solo pressure away from eUnited. This is the adjustment that Rival needed to make. They get pressure on that right-hand side. Now they're going to be able to go up and try and secure the enemy blue buff. But even if they don't end up getting this, they've still been able to get themselves a lead. And now that they have secured that blue buff, this is a great opportunity for Deathwalker to be the bully in this lane instead of getting bullied.
Venenu's invisible will show up and get Deathwalker relatively low. 25%, but the stun will come out onto Venenu. Benji is here as well, looking for the push. Pushes away. Raiju is on him, but will not be detonated.
Tether, so important. The fact that Deathwalker is able to manage his passive to go into that ethereal form at that exact moment. Whenever Deathwalker looks like a ghost, that means he's got 16% physical damage mitigation and 8% magical. So he is significantly tankier than a lot of teams can really deal with in the early game. Deathwalker, Osiris, for me, the solo laner that always stands out with the best passive management. It's what makes Osiris really, really good, is how well you can manage that passive. It always seems like Deathwalker's in that ghostly form at the perfect time.
Osiris is one of the characters that are very simple on the top and very, very complex once you really get knowing the individual character. And I think Deathwalker, Osiris, I mentioned it even though it was banned last game, Deathwalker embodies Osiris embodies what Deathwalker wants to do, which is just sort of maintain control of a large area, and also those fine, complex points Deathwalker has knocked out. Ryan, I think he is the best Osiris in the game.
I think I'd agree with you. I mean, Maniac obviously comes to mind. He's played it quite a bit. There are plenty of good Osiris players because he's such a good solo laner, but like I said, Deathwalker just always seems to manage his cooldowns perfectly. The auto-canceling is always perfect. It's great.
Surprise! Here comes the double lane around the back end. Collins gonna get stuck in the Suns. Knocked up.
Body block.
With the dog! And Collins rolls away on the left-hand side. Vote jumps away on the right-hand side. Wolfie comes right through the middle and takes out Venenu. First blood for the European.
And now Panicat might be next. Ice Baby's here. Tries to hit that wind siphon. Panicat going for the kill, but he's not going to find it. Kalas will. And what looked like it was going to be a 2-for-0 for eUnited gets flipped right on its head, and Rival's up 2-0.
How on earth did Rival last long enough for Wolfie to make that rotation?
Well, it's just that Venenu thought that Kalas was dead to rights, and I think the rest of eUnited did as well, as Deathwalker trying to handle 2 over on the solo side, but he's level 6, and Scream has the ult and has to use the purification beads to get away from that tether stun from Deathwalker. That fight on the left-hand side again, eUnited just thinks that Kalas is done. So then Venenu switches to Vote. Vote's able to get underneath the tower, do a decent amount of damage to Venenu in the process. Kalas, it's just a split from Rival there. Instead of running the same way, Kalas says, try and get away, Vote. I'm gonna go towards T1, you go towards T2, and all of a sudden, not only do not one dies, but everyone lives, and then they pick up 2 from eUnited. Sometimes you get a little bit lucky that it seems, in my mind, that's eUnited dropping the ball, not get first blood, but it's also Rival putting it, they make it as difficult as possible in order to pick it up.
Exactly. You mentioned something really, really important last game, in that Team Rival has repeatedly has earned a living off of capitalizing off of the mistakes of others. But it's not just waiting for somebody to kind of suck and make up for it. Team Rival forces you to make a decision. And every time you are forced to make a decision, there's a chance you can make the wrong one.
Exactly. Rival, I mean, I said it on Twitter. I think that they got here by punishing mistakes. And for my money, they do it better than anyone. It used to be Energy. Rival's kind of taken that crown for me to punish mistakes better than anybody. That's why they come back from being 3 Phoenixes down. That's why they come back from being 8K down.
And they put you in the position to make that mistake.
Exactly. But this is Rival being a little bit more aggressive. And you can still keep that identity. You can still punish mistakes when you're in the lead. You don't exclusively have to be behind.
That's exactly what happened. I mean, the split forces eUnited to make a choice. They make one of the wrong ones, and Wolfie punishes them for it. That's why we see Rival up 2 kills to none, almost 1,000 gold, 6 minutes in, nice and early. And Team Rival looking to fix what happened in game number 1 with some early aggression. Collis with the ultimate. Ice Baby with 1.
Love it.
Wolfie with a 3rd. Rival with a 3rd. It's 3-zip.
Love that CC chain. Perfect execution by Rival. And what does it all come back to? It's Deathwalker playing aggressive on the right-hand side that forced those beads that got Scream killed right there.
Wonderful, wonderful stuff. Just classic Team Rival gameplay. They deviated away from it a little bit earlier in the tournament. Even Benji taking some extra poke right now.
This is what I love to see. Take away the carry potential from Benji. Now, he's still going to be a monster to deal with in the early to mid game. This is more damage than Benji's taken in the early game in the last 3 games.
I believe it.
It just feels that way. Benji's been able to do whatever he wants in the early game against Obey, against Rival in this set. This is the first time that he's the one sitting underneath the tower. And sometimes when you played the same way 3, 4, 5 games in a row, when you've had your way with the enemy team over and over and over again, it takes an adjustment period to get ready to, okay, maybe I'm not a level and a half up. Maybe I don't have a big item lead and I can kind of position aggressively in this sense. Maybe Benji's going to have some trouble adjusting to being behind. Now, I don't think that's the case because Benji is one of the best players in the world for a reason, but you at least give him that opportunity to make a mistake.
Exactly. Creating the impossible decision is really the ideal, where both decisions are bad, right? That's what Rival tries to set up each and every time. But one thing that I've noticed, and you were talking about this off air, is that Ice Baby last game was playing for the team in general, repeatedly getting those back harpy invades. This time, he's hanging out on the right-hand side and playing for Deathwalker specifically.
And it's worked out thus far. Deathwalker off to a pretty good start right there alongside his jungler. Actually very low on the net worth charts alongside Benji. That's kind of how solo lane has become. It used to be every time you check the net worth charts, it's both solo laners way up. But now that they kind of dual lane with the junglers, they're a little bit closer to the bottom. Wolfie all the way up top. He's done a great job farming so far. He's up 1,000 gold over Venenu right now.
Here comes help from the doggo, putting him underneath the tower. That's trouble. And look at Deathwalker going aggressive north.
Gonna be trouble though because the rest of eUnited is here. Venenu's gonna find him and put eUnited on the board with an easy stun. That's the great response that eUnited needed. That's what Rival needed last game, was when Benji got ahead, or even with Deathwalker, have someone come over and bring him down. You know what I mean? But this time eUnited respond. Now they're playing aggressive again.
And there's the blink on in. Wolfie easily gets one. Ice clears up the second. eUnited might have responded, but then Rival responded a second time, but Aggro, here's a third response. Another response
to the response. Venenu going to transform into Huyi to drop a second set of Suns. Vote the only one local. It's going to be enough, though, to force eUnited off of it.
There was seemingly no damage.
It's just not enough for in the early game. I mean, look at what Panda Cat has. He's got Ninja Tabai and Spike's Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Spike's Gauntlet only gives you a little bit of lifesteal. No power added. That's just, this composition isn't designed to really burst down Gold Furies in the early game.
Now, let's take a second look at that one. Really interesting stuff here. Right side, Wolfie is going to be able to confirm stuff, but it's all about Scream.
And this is exactly what I was talking about, punishing mistakes. I love the jump in from Wolfie first, and that kind of makes Scream hesitate for a moment. It backs Benji up and puts both the solo laner and the jungler in perfect range for Kalas to come in and be that aggressor with that Blink Cataclysm. Wolfie off to a phenomenal start, 3-0-2. He's been a part of every single kill for Rival so far. We spent so much of game 1 talking up Venenu and how important he's been to eUnited's rise to success. How about Wolfie? The dude's an absolute star in the mid lane.
I mean, one of the things that I love about Wolfie is that he plays his own god pool, right? Meta be damned, he's bringing out the Isis, he's bringing out the Poseidon, I say it all the time. And you guys know that I like that unique play. But at the same time, I also respect just playing what's good, and Wolfie can do both, which is really, really important.
Flexible mid laner. I mean, he spent a lot of his early career playing a ton of Hunters in the mid lane, then came over and, you know, a little bit of Vulcan here, a little bit of Ra there. Ra became his kind of de facto pick in the mid lane during his ascent towards the top of the mid lane pool in the European scene. Now, there isn't a character that I think Wolfie couldn't pilot in the mid lane.
And that's what's fun to me, is that, like, you have characters that come to mind when you think of specific players. And really, when I think Wolfie, nothing particular comes to mind. The 1v1 between the Hunters, Vote lands the axe and won't find the combo because he already burned it on the wave. But Panda playing aggressive, that's a good sign.
It's a sentence you've said a couple times. during his Pro League career, to be sure. Speed
Just a
buff
few.
spawns for eUnited, and Rival ready to go. Deathwalker trying to poke out Benji and does so successfully. Down to half. Kalas gonna blink in and look for PBM.
As soon as you hear that blink, you know it's time to go. Kalas takes down Polar Bear Mike off of big damage from Wolfie. Now Wolfie is being aggressive. Dashes over the wall. Help from Panda Cat all the way from the left-hand side of the map. Drops to Suns, but everybody is fine.
eUnited get their speed but lose their support. Benji under some trouble here as Deathwalker's ultimate was used to continue the chase, but Benji stays safe.
And the reason you see that, even though the kill is arguably never going to happen, blue buff just spawned.
Scream very low. Ice Baby looking for some more auto. Scream has no abilities quite yet, trying to trade it out. Kalas is taking the tower the whole time, and Scream just loses the 1v1.
That's the play. Kalas just understanding, okay, I'm just going to stand here and call me when you're done, son.
You got him. You can do it. That's like
that's
the pinnacle support play right there. Is Benji now in some trouble on the right?
Wolfie, he gets his dash interrupted. Dash, there it is one more time. The slow could be good. Deathwalker behind him. Wolfie's toasted.
PBM sets up Benji. We saw one pinnacle support play in the mid lane. Now on the right. Deathwalker able to sneak through those Terra walls, and Venenio's going to transform, picking him up.
The dog's gonna pick him up. I'm not concerned here for Deathwalker. He's looking for Benji though. He's gonna fight into this and dies.
Ice Baby though gonna blink in and finish off what Deathwalker started. Back and forth in each lane it feels like, but again it's Rival who ends up slightly on top.
That right there is Deathwalker thinking he's tankier than he is. Tried to pull a Benji and just fought 1 versus 3.
I think Deathwalker just knows that he's in a lot of trouble there, and even though Rival doesn't end up on top there, with the 2-for-1 trade, it was 2-for-1 in eUnited's favor,
right,
but still on top in the overall gold, in the overall experience. And that's what being aggressive can really lend you to. I mean, you have opportunities to make an extra mistake. In game 1, Rival makes one mistake here, eUnited gets a huge lead out of it. You have so much less wiggle room when you're playing passively. Now that Rival's playing aggressive, yeah, they've died 3 times, but they've always been able to recover something else on somewhere else on the map, and that's really why we see Rival looking so much better in game 2.
Vote not exactly accurate on those Uller shots just yet. We'll see if he warms up as the game continues. Panda Cat, I think, looked a little bit nicer in game number 1 when he grabbed the Uller. But again, mid lane, it's about Venenu, and Wolfie's gonna take care of him a little bit. Here comes help from Ice, and that's a dead mid lane.
2-man stun there from Scream. Typhoon coming through, gonna knock him up, but no, Scream picks up Ice Baby instead. Does chase out those purification beads, but again, what happens there? Rival's mid laner plays aggressive and sets up the kill. Wolfie is really dictating the pace in this game from my point of view.
Without a doubt. I'm so happy you brought that up because 9 times out of 10 as Vote starts the Gold Fury here, it's the jungler's job to set the pace of the game, but this is all Wolfie.
PBM should know this is happening. There's a ward there inside the Gold Fury pit, but he just knows he can't get anywhere close. Vote gonna be able to solo down this Gold Fury, and even though PBM knows this is happening, Kalas is just standing there saying, nope, you can't go in.
Do it. Deathwalker right now wishing somebody would. Scream, ultimate not available, so he'll think better of ganking the Osiris 2 levels as senior.
Interesting that Scream's leveling the Brutalize instead of the Unchain. I mean, most of Fenrir junglers seem to really prefer to level that 1 and get the big burst damage on the jump in. Scream really relying on the channeled Brutalize. Even putting a second point into Seething Howl, which is an adjustment that I did think we might see on Fenrir after the recent changes. Seething Howl no longer consuming those passive runes as Rival finds a tier 1 tower in the mid lane. But Scream not only valuing that over, just about everything else, it's the initial stun. So really Scream, if he wants to do damage at this point in the game, needs to be able to hit all 4 parts of that Brutalize, which isn't always reliable to do.
Fair, but if you look at Team Rival's composition, the only one that has a stun on demand is Vote, and he has to turn around mid-Brutalize and find it with the axe. Kalas is not going to hit Wolfie, Ice Baby. You could really brutalize this team without worrying about being interrupted.
But Vote has the jump away, Wolfie does as well. Ice Baby can teleport with the jet stream, that will break the Brutalize chain. I just think that even Kalas' Stone Shield is going to stop a lot of that damage and maybe save a low health
The Stone
target.
Shield is valid, I think. That's scary. because Collis has been, Collis has that play style where he always knows where his teammates are. His Khepri play, I doubt that we'll see it, just not the meta for it, but his Khepri play is really what impressed me once upon a time, because he can be the initiator and then still turn around and find his carry getting flanked. Having that sort of eyes everywhere approach to the game is what allows him to play this game so well.
The Hunter is going for two different styles of builds. Vote going for the Ichaival, while PandaCat electing for the Aussie. Now, Aussie, both these items are actually pretty similar. Both are attack speed focused, but a little bit of different secondary focuses. Aussie focuses on the lifesteal component. Also gives you a little bit of penetration, actually the same amount as that Ichaival, that 10 pen. But Aussie gives you that lifesteal and then the passive that whenever you get low, you can lifesteal even more. Ichaival more about the boxing trade. I'm not familiar enough with these two builds to say which one's gonna outtrade the other. Usually Ichaival is like, as soon as you get this, you outtrade the enemy Hunter. But when PandaCat's just healing for more than you are with that Ichaival, it might be difficult for Vote to take those fights.
Well, Vote nabs the Executioner as well, and I think that seals the deal that Vote will win those trades. Not only is he getting amped up by that Ichaival, but Executioner is going to strip protections per basic attack hit. So as long as Vote is accurate with his basic attacks, eUnited's enemy Hunter is losing protections, losing power, and even though he's healing, so is Vote.
Keep in mind, Vote also going to gain power from that Ichaival after some autos.
Wow.
And that Portal Demon goes down instantly. Benji going to knock up Deathwalker, and Scream's right there. But Scream actually canceling the ultimate early to make sure that eUnited doesn't get put in a bad spot.
Well, there's so many members of Team Rival. And don't forget, when the objectives go down, Fire Giant, Gold Fury, and Portal Demon, there's an audio cue. So everybody on eUnited knew that the squad was on the right side of the map. So Scream goes into the ultimate and probably would have brought him all the way back. But knowing that Rival was there, had to cancel early.
Polar Bear Mike now on this right-hand side trying to defend the tier 1 as Rival did in game number 1. Deathwalker chasing out Benji and PBM and opening up the opportunity for Vote to bring it down.
This is a 7,000 gold lead here, Ryan. Game number 1, Kelly said it on the desk, and I agree with her wholeheartedly. It looked easy for eUnited. Game number 2 is far from over. There's a lot of SMITE to be played, but Team Rival are making this look easy. How does this back and forth sort of happen when we've seen both teams dominate?
In game 1, Rival picks the Raijin and doesn't get mid pressure. And eUnited does get solo pressure. Specifically, Scream's able to get some pressure, and then just the right engagements allow eUnited to get some objectives one after the other, and all of a sudden they're up by a bunch of gold. In this game, Wolfie gets the pressure in the mid lane. He has really capitalized. Venenu 3 levels down right now, and this is what Rival needed in game 1, was really Wolfie to play aggressively and to be there and know that he's gonna have the backup from Ice Baby instead of having his jungler be around the map and farming. Because Ice and Wolfie have worked together so much better in this game, it's allowed Rival to transition that pressure that they have in the mid lane with the earlier game pick and really distribute it throughout the map. Vote has also been able to farm more efficiently this game. He's been slightly ahead of PandaCat all game long. And again, a lot of it goes back to that botched engagement on the left-hand side where Rival picks up 2 kills that eUnited thought they had.
Something you didn't mention, which I think is the point, Scream. He has been silent this game. He got the 1 kill, which winds up being actually an assist. But last game, Basset, jump, jump, jump. Even when he wasn't getting kills, he was letting you know that you're not safe. He was razor clawing everybody, and everybody was dying. Now he has just sort of been feeding the enemy team. That 1 play to sort of relieve Benji on the right side, nice, but I need more.
Gold Fury pulled by Rival, and we saw Vote, how quickly Vote took down the Portal Demon. Looks like Gold Fury might be more of the same. PBM zoned away, and they're gonna give it up. eUnited lose another objective. They're looking for Deathwalker at mid though.
The level 17 Deathwalker jumps away from the level 14 Fenrir. That's all I'm saying about that one.
Ultimate for ultimate, fine for Deathwalker. He only has about 10% CDR, but that's more than Scream has in his build. So that Lord of the Afterlife should be up a little bit sooner than the Ragnarok for Scream. But again, just like we saw in game 1, Benji dies to zone for a Gold Fury. Same sort of idea, except this time Deathwalker lives instead of falling, and it allows Team Rival to secure another objective.
Look at the point that eUnited is at. Let's take a look at Scream one more time. He's not doing anything. He's just waiting for this speed buff. He's been waiting there for a number of seconds, which is usually not what you do. We'll usually see the jungler like rotate and move around, but Rival is such a pressure and such a threat here that if eUnited doesn't get that buff as soon as it spawns, Deathwalker's taking it.
Exactly, you need to be there. If there's been any pressure on your speed buff, or even if there could potentially be pressure on your speed buff, you need to be there early, not just when it spawns. It's the whole thing. I mean, I'm sure you've had someone tell you in your life that if you're on time, you're late. Same sort of thing with buffs.
Exactly, you just absolutely have that. Vote's going for another objective. I mean, this is eUnited. Sure, I understand that they can't fight, they can't make that rotation all the time, but eUnited have to say, fool me once, fine. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Yeah, I just don't think eUnited has a lot of confidence to fight into what Rival's doing right now. And again, we kind of saw this with Luminosity. As soon as your jungler falls behind, I think you lose a little bit of that attitude that you really need to take a lead and rip it away from the opposition. Your jungler is usually one of your primary shot callers. When that guy is behind, it can be difficult for them to say, yeah, guys, we're doing well. Do it. Even though I'm not. You know, it's just one of those things where you have to try and think of the big picture instead of just the individual.
Well, somebody has to tell Vote that there actually are rules to this game, because he looks like he's playing, one versus PvE almost. He just walked across the map, took out all the towers, said, okay, I'm going to do a Gold Fury now. And they said, okay. And then he said, I'm going to do a Portal Demon. And he said, okay. Then he said, I'm going to do a Fire Giant. And they said, okay. When does eUnited say no?
Vote looks like he's playing Adventures right now. It's the PvE raid right now. It's just bringing down eUnited's base.
But there's no enemy Loki, it's just the towers. And they're crumbling. This is, again, easy. This is so easy for Vote and Team Rival. I don't see any stress. The net worth, separated. Player damage is probably even separated minus Benji. All right, maybe not.
Rival is just adjusted beautifully. They get pressure on the right-hand side, and this is the first time that eUnited hasn't had their game go according to plan. That's very important.
True.
So eUnited, just like Rival, I really do think in game one, Rival was kind of okay with losing that. They say, all right, we're gonna play what we wanna play and just see how this feels. Okay, that sucks. Let's try something else. Let's change it up a little bit. eUnited, in my mind, is kind of doing the same thing right now. They're absorbing what Rival wants to do. Okay, this is how Rival is going to win games against us. I understand now. Let's go back to the drawing board. Let's bring out something else that we have practiced, and let's be ready to bring it to them with a strategy that's going to counteract theirs.
Sort of a trial and error right here. Collis makes no errors. Knocks up and knocks them down. Ice Baby and Vote combine to create the number 11. And Wolfie puts number 12 up. The tower will fall. And Team Rival sieges the right-hand side. Ryan, I think this is a Phoenix.
Easily a Phoenix. Could be the mid-Phoenix as well. 24 seconds left on Polar Bear Mike. Venenu going to transform into that Raijin. Just try and get anything going. Fears away the majority of Rival. Deathwalker going to get stunned by Panic Cat. Still not enough to even come close to bringing him down. And Rival will just transition over to the mid-Phoenix.
Easy again. That is the word of the game for sure. Collis is tanking out. 2 players up top. Nobody's looking at the bird. Down it goes. Team Rival on top one more time.
Tier 2 tower should be the next focus for Rival. Could pick up that wave if they wanted to. Could even decide to back. Spend some of the gold in hand. Everyone on Rival has over 1,000 with this extra 300 for each player. It's going to be even easier to finish off their build. Should be getting pretty close anyways. I mean, they've had so much pressure all around the map. They've been able to take so many objectives that everyone nearing that point anyways.
And I love this decision. Team Rival, they've got about 30 seconds left on that Fire Giant. So what you do is you go ahead and you strip the jungle, and exactly what I was about to point out, Observer, the fact that the Gold Fury is about to respawn. Team Rival strip the left side jungle, they're going to strip their own, and then likely hit their own Gold Fury, Vote and Wolfie.
Yeah, this Gold Fury is Rivals right now. They've already gotten 2. This is going to be their 3rd. With all this golden hand, should be enough to finish off some really important power items. Not enough for Wolfie to get a Rod of Tahuti quite yet. Could decide to just buy another item to try and bridge the gap, close the game out with some aggressiveness and not wait for that big traditional power spike in the mid lane, or could just sit on that restored artifact, wait until the next team fight. I mean, there's going to be a little bit of time between now and the next Fire Giant anyways. This gives Wolfie time to farm up the rest of that Rod of Tahuti, which really isn't that much more gold, pick up Portal Demon back, finish off the build, and be ready to end the game.
Exactly. You need about 1,700 to finish that off right now, and Team Rival are just... I mean, Wolfie, look at his chair. He's just hanging out, not really too much of a concern. The team is up again. eUnited last game were up about 20K. Right now, Rivals up 20K.
This has been two teams who are just really good at playing their own game at times, and Rival needed to play their own game instead of waiting for eUnited to mess up theirs. That's exactly what I wanted to see from Rival, and we've got it. For me, once this set is 1-1, and I truly think it is about to be 1-1, that's when the real fun begins.
That's
when these teams start playing aggressively into their own compositions, not allowing the other team to try and, just do whatever they want. This is where the games can really begin.
And we talked about the adaptations, and if you are at World's Finals, Fire Giant belongs to Rival, you're a team that can make adaptations. But again, what's the difference for Team Rival? They are playing characters that fit with their players. Deathwalker and Ice Ice Baby on this Osiris and Susano. These are the characters I want to see on these types of players. It allows them to be over-aggressive. It allows them to make plays and just assist Wolfie and Vote in doing what they do.
Love it. And the difference has been just so vast in what Rivals were able to do to Benji in these team fights. At this point in the game last time, Benji was level 20, full build, no worries in the world, can't be really touched. This game, he's only level 17, he's only got 4 items. I mean, he's just kind of food right now for Wolfie and Vote. He disappeared in the last team fight on the right-hand side, don't forget that. And he hasn't gotten tanky enough to really avoid that this time around either.
And even with saying that, I think Benji has had a larger impact to the screen. The Fenrir just has done nothing.
Just an early Fenrir pick that I think, even if Rival ban it out, they're leaving something else open that eUnited could have grabbed and really taken advantage of. I think that just a little bit too early for that Fenrir pick here.
Left side, Siege one more time. Team Rival up a zillion in every category. Phoenix goes down without a fight. Mid lane, Phoenix about to respawn, but the right one even earlier. So we're gonna see Team Rival shift. And there it is. Ice Ice Baby leading the way. Kala's thinking about the blink, waiting for the group up, decides against it. There's Renenu using the invisibility already. The sun's come down, but it's momentary. Already hitting Scream pretty hard, and Wolfie gonna finish the plan. Down goes the jungler for the 5th time.
Benji trying to do what he can to the backside while Ice cleans up Venenu on the front. Benji still on the run, so all of Rival just take what they came for initially. They got 2 kills. They get the right side Phoenix. Wolfie looking to put some more pressure on. Nice ricochet there by Panda Cat. Still not enough to bring down the mid lane mage.
Wolfie understands that he's not as tanky as everybody else is, and so he's dangling himself out there like a piece of meat, as Tolly would say, daring Panda Cat to jump on in. Instead, it's Kalas who jumps on in, finds the ultimate, and the Titan goes down, and Team Rival ties it up. We're 1-1 in the grand finals.
And now the series begins. eUnited dominant in game